Wholesome Tuesday, 17th day of October 2023. It's a great day. It's been an amazingly productive day. Put in like 16,800 steps a day. Probably somewhere around 8 or 9 miles. Got to work with our private this rising. Great work, man. Little by little, sowing in that good karma, those good seeds. Cause and effect. That's all life is. Cause and effect. Every cause will have its effect. Put out as many good causes as possible. Direct your life. Let it be determined by your inner dialogue, the character that you cultivate, so that circumstances, external contributing factors have as little effect on you as possible. Should do our best to create an individual whose life is not determined by what is going on the outside. Let's get right into it. Proverbs 17. The Proverbs of King Solomon, the richest and wisest soul that ever lived, the soul of man, Solomon. Better is a dry morsel with quietness than a house full of feasting with strife. Oof, right there, yo. Off the get-go. Better is a dry morsel. Better is a piece of dry bread or something that is undesirable, yet you enjoy it in peace and quiet, than a house full of feasting, than a house full of all desirable and lovely treats, but there is no peace in sight. It is just full of havoc. A wise servant will rule over a son who causes shame, and will share an inheritance among the brothers. The refining pot is for silver, and the furnace is for gold, but the Lord tests the hearts. An evildoer gives heed to false lips. A liar listens eagerly to a spiteful tongue. He who mocks the poor reproaches his maker. He who is glad at calamity will not go unpunished. Children's children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children is their father. That's probably one of my favorite lines from this whole book. Children's children are the crown of old men. Grandchildren, all right? So a grandfather is like a king. Grandchildren see their grandfather like a king. And the glory of children is their father. You don't see little boys going around talking about how awesome their mother's cooking is. They're usually going around comparing fathers. My father is strong. My father is the fastest. My father is this. My father is that. So children always look to their father and they find glory in their fathers. That's why it is important for us as men to be something that our children can find glory in having around. We are the disciplinarian, and if we have not learned to discipline ourselves, to have enough self-love to discipline ourselves in what is necessary, to castigate, to constrict our appetites, to moderate our appetites to something healthy, then we won't know how to correct and help our children be moderate in their unhealthy appetites. We might overdo certain things. You get what I'm saying? If our body, our minds, our ability to relate emotionally to our wives, to our children, to our friends, are not at a level that is respectable, then we won't know how to, be that glorious example to our children as well. The glory of children is their father, and each child deserves a father that he can find glory in. They deserve it. Does it mean that they'd always get it? No. Life isn't fair. Life simply is. You get what I'm saying? And so it is up to each individual to do their part to, do their best to ensure that they end up being a father that their sons and daughters can find glory in, and a mother that they can, admire and respect. Excellent speech is not becoming for a fool. To a fool, much less lying lips to a prince. A present is a precious stone in the eyes of his possessor. Wherever he turns, he prospers. He who covers a transgression seeks love, but he who repeats a matter separates friends. Rebuke is more effective for a wise man than 100 blows on a fool. An evil man seeks only rebellion. Therefore, a cruel messenger will be sent against him. Let a man meet a bear robbed of her cubs than a fool in his folly. Better to meet a bear robbed of her cub than a fool in his own foolish stupidity. You will waste so much energy, so much time, so much attention, so much mental space, and oftentimes so much of your material resources trying to help a fool. Best to leave them to their devices and let them figure it out on their own. Not everybody that we see in need of our help, it sucks to say it, may not always deserve it. I say that the children are always deserving of all that we have to give, to include even our own lives. The children are deserving of everything good. But not every adult human being that has been consciously making the wrong decisions for more than half of their lives deserves your mental space or material resources, energy, attention, or time if they are not deserving of it. So be mindful and use discernment. Whoever rewards evil for good, evil will not depart from his house. The beginning of strife is like releasing water. Therefore, stop contentions before a quarrel starts. He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the just, both of them are alike an abomination to the Lord. Those two right there can be directly related to what is going on today with these nations overseas. You get what I'm saying? Ukraine, Russia, Israel, and its occupation of Palestine, Hamas, etc. Whoever rewards evil for good, evil will not depart from his house. Evil does not depart from these places because evil is being rewarded for good. You got another reason why so much injustice and so much wrong can be seen here in these united or in these divided states of America is because we continue to reward evil for good. We continue to reward the evil. We continue to reward unjust wars, unjust occupations, unjust sanctions, unjust behaviors overseas, and unjust behaviors amongst our politicians, amongst the corporatocracies and pharmaceutical giants that and war engines that simply promote destruction and facilitate destruction and enslavement, mental, emotionally, and spiritually, as well as physically, of the populace. We continue to justify wickedness and condemn the just. There are so many people in politics that hadn't opened their mouth as it related to what is going on today, or hadn't opened their mouth in relation to certain things, but did against other things, and now hearing their opinions on, based on like what is going on in the Middle East and what is going on between Ukraine and Russia, and just everything that the United States is doing and continues to do, or not even the United States, but the corporation of the United States, directed by these, you know, these corporations, how they continue to justify wickedness and condemn just actions, like these fact checkers. They condemn, they justify wickedness and condemn the just. Yet both of these are alike an abomination. Why is there in the hand of a fool the purchase price of wisdom, since he has no heart for it? A friend loves at all time, and a brother is born for adversity. A man devoid of understanding shakes hands on a pledge, and becomes surety for his friend. He who loves transgressions loves strife, and he who exalts his gate seeks destruction. He who has a deceitful heart finds no good, and whoever has a perverse tongue falls into evil. He who begets a pessimistic doubter does so to his sorrow, and the father of a fool has no joy. A merry heart does good like medicine, but a broken spirit dries the bones. A wicked man accepts a bribe behind the back, to pervert the ways of justice. Wisdom is in the sight of him who has understanding, but the eyes of fools are on the ends of the earth. A foolish son is a grief of to his father, and bitterness to her who bore him. Also, to punish the righteous is not good, nor to strike princes for their uprightness. He who has knowledge spares his words, and a man of understanding is of a calm spirit. Even a fool is counted wise when he holds his peace. When he shuts his lips, he is considered perceptive. A wicked man accepts a bribe behind the back, to pervert the ways of justice. That is what we're living. That is an exact example of the stuff that is going on in this nation and across many other nations around the world. Wicked men accepting bribes behind the back to pervert the ways of justice. All this injustice, all these human rights violations, and we have these United Nations and these international governing bodies and these economic forums, these global economic forums, but they don't care about the individual. They just care about their greedy pockets. They use these various mechanisms of control and these various mechanisms of roundtable discussions to pervert the ways of justice. What is the point of these United Nations if they can't maintain peace where it is necessary? The world is ass backwards, and the only way to remedy any of this wrong is to begin with self. To stop giving our mental space and material resources, our energy, our attention, and our time to things that are out of our control. To these news mediums regurgitating, information that only produces hopelessness and despair. And we should focus on our attention on our faith, our fitness, our family, friends, our finances, our visions of better future outcomes, rather than focusing our vision on the destruction of ignorant individuals in power. Focus on our attention on what we can control, so that what we can control becomes more apparent. And so that when the opportunity to act accordingly as it relates to these circumstances that are out of our control at an individual level, when those situations and those opportunities present themselves, we are better prepared to make the right choices, to say the right words, to think the right thoughts, and to take the right actions. Avoid shaking hands in a pledge for people that you don't know. Develop understanding so that you don't make unnecessary promises that you may not be so willing to keep because they take you too far out of your way. Avoid being a people pleaser. Be genuine, be authentic, be true, be honest, be a gentleman, be kind. But do not do anything for acceptance. Do not be a nice guy. Do not try to be a people pleaser. Be yourself so that you don't develop or so that you don't create any more unnecessary anger within yourself in your desire to please others, to do things with hidden expectations, and then get upset when you don't receive the same kind of treatment in return. So be genuine. Seek understanding. Seek understanding, seek knowledge, so that you can have more trust in your beliefs. Other than that, you have a great evening. It's been your guy, Super Conscious Thoughts, Super Conscious Living, aka Sosa, the Sauce Man. You have a great one. Blessings.